Hey gamers, welcome to another episode of Starsector. So today we're gonna go ahead and buy a lot of ships. We have 800,000 credits right now. I actually went ahead and bought one ship already, but I wasn't recording, so I'll go ahead and show all the ships I get when I actually have bought all of them. I'm looking for a few specific ships, and you'll see in a second. Okay, so we finally found all the weapons and ships that I was looking for. It took a really long time, actually, longer than I'd like to admit. I've probably been roaming around for 40 minutes in the central systems. I actually had to do a few hauling missions just to find the right weapons. It was specifically for this Eagle cruiser that I picked up, which I really didn't find the weapon I was looking for, but I had to settle for these graviton beams. They do a lot of kinetic damage, which basically hits shields. We also picked up a carrier, 2 light destroyers, another hammer, and this other cruiser. Okay, so the idea right now is that we're going to go ahead and go to this nebula which has 2 bounties. There's also a pirate base over here, as well as over here. And pirate bases are going to be pretty easy to clear out with our setup. So I'm going to go ahead and try to find these guys. Okay, so we finally found those pirates that were in the bounty. The other one expired, so we're only gonna have to be able to go after these guys. Okay, so since we got their capital ship, which is a person that has a bounty on them, we got the bounty, so we're not gonna pursue this fleet any further. And we just got 70,000 credits, so that's pretty good. Okay, so we finally found the pirate station. We were actually really lucky, and this station is completely undefended right now by any of the pirate fleets, which is exactly when you want to attack the station. So we're going to go ahead and engage this station. What I typically like to do when I have to fight a station is I'll set up a ton of waypoints. And this is basically so I can tell any of my ships to just kind of run away, because they will try to attack the station pretty aggressively. And not all of them are going to be able to do that. Alright, so this station also only has one module, which is just kind of sad for a station. Actually, since we have 9 character points, I'm going to go ahead and spend them right now. So we're going to go full leadership, and we're going to go fleet, not fleet logistics, where is it? Coordinated maneuvers. This will basically give us a speed advantage when we have more ships. We're also probably going to take either fighter doctrine or commands and control. I haven't really needed to do much commanding, so I'm probably going to go with fighter doctrine.
Hello there.
We finally found the pirate fleet that we were looking for. This is a much larger one. They have quite a few cruiser ships. But all we need to do is destroy the capital ship, and we'll get the bounty. This one's worth 100,000, so this one's pretty important. I'm also going to set up a waypoint to defend. This is definitely going to be a defensive battle. There are no capture points, so there's really no reason for us to have to move around too much.
Fast as fuck, boy. Still fast as fuck, boy. Come get some. I don't think you have any idea how fast I...
Okay, so we finally won against those pirates. We are probably gonna run out of supply as we try to make it back to the central systems. We took a lot of... It took a really long time to fight those guys off without losing anybody. So we got really low on combat readiness, and basically that's just gonna drain our supplies. And as you can see, we've already run out of supplies, so now our ships can't repair and they're slowly going to start decaying. I'm going to try to manually avoid these hyperspace clouds because they will damage ships. Okay, so we found the next bounty fleet. It's pretty much identical to the last one, so we shouldn't have any problem winning if we deploy all of our ships. So after the battle, we did end up destroying their capital ships, so that means we got the bounty. We got 94,000 credits, and the independents are actually starting to really like us. We find ourselves at another pirate station. I managed to chase off both the fleets that were guarding this. They were really weak, so of course they ran away from our gigantic fleet. Okay, so after fighting those pirates at the station, we have 4 more character points. I'm going to put them all into command and control. This is for the extra command points, which is starting to become useful when commanding fleets in battle. But it also gives us maximum bonuses on 2 other skills we have. Currently, they are capped at 20, and this is for coordinated maneuvers and electronic warfare. Both of these skills are useful because one gives us more speed and the other reduces the enemy's range, meaning that if we can get another 5% bonus, that means we'd have 25% speed advantage and range advantage on our enemies, which is pretty good. Oh wow, okay, so actually we just got a very special quest, or mission you could say. So, this is part of the story, and this is pretty much the first quest that really puts you into the lore of the game. Basically, when you talk to this person, they'll go on about a story where they used to be in a fleet and they encountered this red planet. I can't say too much about it because I don't want to spoil it, but basically this is really when you first realize what the Remnant are, and pretty much just how powerful they are, that they're just not some random scattered fleets that you find at those warning beacons, that they're pretty organized and they have something going on. So in order to continue with the Red Planet quest, we just have to go to Valhalla and talk to the pilot that's on the planet of Ralsvelg. I went ahead and bought 2 more combat freighters. These ones are much larger than our old ones, and I went ahead and sold the old ones because they were taking up space in our fleet. And not only is there a maximum amount of ships you can have in your fleet, but having more ships in your fleet will slow you down when you're traveling through hyperspace. So here we are, we can open comms with a person who knows where the red planet is. We only have to pay 11,000 credits, and now we have the location of the red planet. We're not going to go there because we will die. The red planet, I've only been there really once, and this was really far into one of my games, and it completely wiped my save because I was playing on iron mode, so I couldn't reload. And basically, even if you have a ton of capital class ships, your fleet will not stand a chance against them. So at our current state, we just can't consider it at all. Okay, so while I'm waiting for new bounty quests, there currently aren't really anything we can do. Either they're too low to even be worth it to go out there, and there are some that are just too hard. For example, anything that's really over 150,000 is just way too hard for us. The Ludic Path base, well, you know, we've been supplying them, and I like to think that they've been putting those supplies to very good use. And typically the Ludic Path fleets are much stronger than the pirate fleets. Instead, what I've been doing is I've actually gone ahead and taken a ton of quests from this system right here, the one with Chalcedon and the Canny pirates. Both Chalcedon and Canny have been just churning out a ridiculous amount of transport quests. Earlier they asked for luxury goods, then they wanted organs, and now they want Volturnian lobster. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that real quick. I've already made over 200,000 just from these trade quests alone. We now have an additional 3 character points. I'm gonna go ahead and put this into fleet logistics. This is gonna reduce our supply maintenance and increase our combat readiness. This is also good for having a colony when we do build one, because this will give accessibility, which is a trait in colonies that is pretty important, as well as larger patrol fleets, so this is just kind of a no-brainer for me. Okay, so at the current moment, we are looking for a person with a 110,000 credit bounty on them. I just got this one after doing a lot of trades with the pirates and the Lytic Path. I thought I might as well go for it. As you can see here, this fleet is no joke. There are a lot of ships in this fleet. So this battle right here is definitely one of the longest battles that I've had up to this series. So essentially what's going on here is we got jumped by a really big fleet, and we're basically at a disadvantage. So I'm playing really defensive here. And eventually we do end up winning, but it just takes a really long time. So I thought I'd put it in this time lapse because I haven't really done that before, and I thought it might look a little bit interesting. So yeah, here you go. And just like that, we've already won. We destroyed the flagship, so we don't need to chase the ships any further. And we're going to harry the retreat. I have no idea if this fight's going to be worth it. It was only 100,000, but this definitely felt more like a quest that could have been 150,000 credits. So I've returned back to the central systems, and I actually picked up 2 ships. We have this heavy cruiser right here and a new carrier. This is going to help us take out the stations that are on our next bounties, because some higher tier stations just need a lot of firepower and a lot of shields. So on our way out of the central systems, we actually got a bounty for about 50,000 credits on this very small fleet, so I decided to stop by and get it. We're back in the central systems, and I actually found another Eagle cruiser, so we're gonna go ahead and take these, because these ships are just really good. As you can see, we've found one of the bounty fleets. This thing is pretty big, but it's not as dangerous as some of the other fleets we've fought. They have a lot of carriers, but luckily we have a 2 carriers of our own, and they should be able to fight off these carriers, as well as the fact that both of our Eagle ships are point defense ships, which means that I put a lot of point defense lasers on them. So if we need our ships to hide anywhere from the fighters, we can just put them near our Eagle ships. I put a lot of autocannons on this Eagle cruiser right here, and as you can see, it's just firing so many shells at that enemy. So we've gone ahead and won the first battle. We need to recharge our combat readiness, so we're just gonna have to go ahead and start running away from the ship, because it turns out the second bounty fleet is actually in the system, and I'm willing to bet that this fleet right here is the one. So it turns out that we're actually under crew, which is really bad. As it stands right now, we have barely enough crew to still do maintenance, which means we won't lose combat readiness. But if we got into battle with that other fleet, we definitely would have lost too much crew, and our ships would not be able to be maintained, which means they would all start taking damage, and potentially we could have lost some ships right there. So we're back at that pirate fleet that we had to run away from, and we literally had a single day left before the bounty expired, and we managed to catch them. It was pretty lucky, actually. I couldn't believe it. But anyway, this fleet right here is pretty similar to the last one we just fought. There's a lot of carriers here, but that's really all there is. Just a lot of carriers. It shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, boy.
So we found a research station in this system that we have a pirate station bounty in, and it's actually got a lot of things. Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, so first off, a gamma core. Those are pretty good. We have a nanoforge, which will be used to make ships once we have a colony. This one is a corrupted nanoforge, so it's the lower quality, but having one at all is just really good. We also have some blueprints, which basically means that we can now make these ships once we establish our colony. And one of the blueprints is a battle cruiser, which means that we can build the highest tier ship and for free, basically. Well, discounted price because it still costs the material, but you can just make this ship. You don't have to search around for it once we establish our colony. So I'm going to go ahead and take all of that. One thing we can do here is after we look at the research station, it'll actually break up into more debris, and using the scavenge skill, we can also get a couple more things out of this by searching those debris. Okay, so we got the station on its own. Looking at the station, this is a really dangerous station. This is, I think this is called a high-tech station, and basically what's happening here is, actually, I'll just show it when we get into the battle. So, immediately what we have to do is we have to make sure our tankiest ships are gonna deploy first, which means, our cruiser hull types, which would be the carriers and the Eagles, and our Dominator class heavy cruiser. Those are the ones that have to go first right now, okay? What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put in our destroyers, so they spawn in behind us. So now, the reason why this station is so dangerous is, well, as you can see here, it has fighters, it has 3 sections of turrets, and the shields are protected in the center by both the station sections and these structural points, which are kind of sticking out of the station. And this means that the station has a lot of firepower. And unfortunately, we only have one ship that has ions, and that would be the other Eagle cruiser that I made here. And what ions do is they basically disable turrets when they aren't shielded. So that's pretty much what we have to do, is we have to make sure that the turrets are going to stay offline so that our ships don't get creamed. So we just took out a section of the station. That's really good. We just destroyed one of the shield modules on the station, so now the station section is pretty much dead. And just like that, we beat that station. That was surprisingly easy, but again, this station is really dangerous actually, and I'm quite surprised we didn't take any losses. At the moment, we've gone ahead and gone to another station with a bounty on it. This was quite some trouble. There was a lot of escorts on this station, and they really did not want to leave, so it took a while to shake them off to get the station on its own, but we eventually pulled it off. One thing of note is that this station is actually a midline station. That type of station is a station that typically has shields which are integrated with the hull of the sections, which are the places with the turrets. And this one only has 2 sections, so it's a lot safer to deal with. As you can see, we can actually get inside their shields, which is really good. We want to do exactly that. And well, this station's not looking too good. It's getting pretty hammered. And when a station takes hull damage, of course their turrets aren't going to be firing all the time. And it's just a big downward spiral at that point. And just like that, that station is gone. That was really easy. So, we are in the Syndrian systems right now, and I found out that there was a battle cruiser for sale, so I went ahead and bought it. It was around 300,000 credits, and it has a demod of structural damage, meaning that the hull and armor have a penalty of 20% lower. This really doesn't affect it too much. It only affects the armor because reinforced bulkheads, which prevents the ship from actually being destroyed, just disabled, increases hull integrity by 40%. I went ahead and kitted this ship out with a ton of weapons. We finally got to use some of those tier 3 weapons. My personal favorite is this Gauss cannon. It looks really cool, and you'll probably see that in action next episode. If you got a pretty sharp eye, you might have noticed the fact that the flux dissipation on this is pretty bad compared to the weapon flux that this ship actually outputs. We only dissipate 2,000 while the weapons are giving out 3,000. But the thing you might notice here is that this ship is very broad-sided. The weapons will only aim either to the left and right, which basically means that if I'm facing the enemy with only my right side, that means only half of my weapons are firing, which means that I'm only using 1,500 flux, which means that our weapon flux is more than enough to handle it. I also went ahead and picked up another Eagle to replace the Falcon that actually got blown up. I was actually pretty dumb and I just forgot to recover it after the battle, so we just kind of lost it. But this Eagle is going to be a lot more sturdier, and I've kitted it out pretty similar to our other Eagles, where they're basically point defense ships. So I'm going to end the episode right here. We have done a lot, well, at least I have, because it's been between 4 and 5 hours across the span of 2 days that this episode's been recorded. It just takes a lot of time to build up your fleet, and it's pretty much a really boring process because all you're doing is just missions to get enough credits to buy more ships. The next episode is going to be focusing on getting enough credits to be able to afford the overhead that's involved with establishing a colony. We're probably going to need anywhere between 1 and 2 million credits, so it's probably going to be kind of like a time-lapse-ish video, but we'll see about that. If you've been watching to the end on my previous episodes, you might have noticed that the outro sequence with the Space Engineer's ship is just really long. I've kind of forgotten that you can't actually have the outro be that long, and I went ahead and put the end card's text on there, and there actually is no video to click to, so yeah, that's kind of a mistake on my part, and it should be fixed this episode. If you enjoy my videos, consider subscribing or liking. There's nothing really to it, and it helps support the channel. And that's all. Later.